Thanks for listening to the People Not Titles podcast. We are brought to you by our great sponsors, Land Trust Title Services, your partners for results. This thing cracked open.
Got to do the cheers first.
Well, hello, this is Steve Kemp with the People Not Titles podcast, and I'm so glad to have returning champion Alan Stern from Persona Marketing. Alan, welcome again to our podcast. Glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back.
Yes, we're really excited. So, Alan, we met at one of your sessions just to refresh the group, and which was you had a room full of realtors, and you were teaching them about how to, I forget, tell me what the title of the program was.
How to stay top of mind without spending any money.
There you go, how to stay top of mind. And I thought, I was really impressed with it. I've employed a lot of different techniques and tactics, and I thought there were things, I've heard a lot of different things, I thought they were fantastic. At that time, you talked about how you were a DJ, how you always been just kind of hustling entrepreneur, and how you rebranded and reinvented yourself in the car sales business. And then all of a sudden in March, I see, hey, I'm out of car sales. I'm like, this guy isn't screwing around, you know. You were very successful in automobile sales. You became kind of the expert of the Corvette, right, and different high-end vehicles, and started to manage your own time. Well, most of them are going from 9 to 9 at night or whatever it is. You started having scheduled hours and started to really be disciplined, and then boom, you left. And now you're full-time with Persona Marketing. And so the dream in some ways has become real for you. Maybe just talk a little bit about that journey before we get into some of the new things you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So proud to say I just officially closed the chapter of about 13 and a half years selling cars.
Amazing.
About 7 of that was spent, actually no, 6.5 of that was spent in the domestic economy car industry. Migrated over to the luxury world back in 2017. Really had to reinvent myself. Different product, different customer, different thought process, different reasons for doing business. From there, I realized I didn't want to be in the convincing business because starting from scratch, trying to convince a stranger who's never met you to part with tens of thousands of dollars on repeat gets exhausting.
Yeah.
So I set out on a mission to self-generate all my own business. In the midst of doing that, got exactly what I wanted, but I realized what's way cooler than any car that I can sell is helping the little guy win the day. And most salespeople do not have a background in marketing, but you could be great at sales. It won't do you much good, though, unless you create opportunities to sell. So started a business showing salespeople and small businesses how to market themselves without breaking the bank.
And what's impressive, it reminds me of insurance salespeople. Anytime you're selling something, it takes 50, 60, 70 hours a week to really get good at it and do well at it. And I'm willing to bet that most people who sell cars never get out of it because it's too hard to get something else going on the side because you got to spend too much time in your business. And so for you to prove that you could do this, what you did part-time, build and grow your business, probably using the same principles you're showing somebody else, and separate yourself from a great paying gig to now being your own boss, I think is kind of like a testimony in and of itself.
I appreciate that. I mean, to your point, it is hard. It's hard to start from scratch with a stranger every day that doesn't know you, like you, or trust you in a field that's not known for trust.
Yes.
That's hard.
Yeah.
But it's also hard to go out and self-generate all your own business. So you just ask yourself, what hard do you want?
What hard do you want? And then you picked the double hard, which says, even though I'm going to be doing all that, I'm going to start this business over here. And I'm going to generate enough income, enough interest, enough buzz, enough mojo that I'm going to say goodbye to all that. Bravo to you. So I want to say congratulations. That's really great to hear. And so tell us a little bit about some of the things that led you to having the confidence to say, I'm going to, you can't steal second without taking your foot off of first. I'm taking my foot off of first, and I'm stealing second. What was that journey like, and what was that crossing point for you to say, I'm going to make the move?
Well, one of the first things that I realized in the car business was before people buy from a brand, they buy from a person who represents a brand.
Right.
That holds true in anything. It doesn't matter if you own a DJ company, which I still do, if you sell cars, if you sell homes, if you sell insurance. The relationship, the support, and the experience is really what people are buying. So then you ask yourself, all right, if that's really what they're buying, and you are somebody who goes out and networks yourself, like I did, Chamber of Commerce, networking events, stuff that you find on Eventbrite,
Speaking group.
speaking engagements, what ends up happening is you ask yourself, what is the best use of time? Doesn't matter how good you are at work in a room, you're limited on time and there's only one of you. So you might meet 5, 10, 15 if you're lucky, new people at a networking event, but if you happen to do a speaking engagement on a topic that would benefit everybody in the room, in my case, what I was doing when I was selling cars was saying, hey, here's a topic that would benefit all of you in the room today, do-it-yourself marketing. I happen to learn this as a result of selling cars. By the way, call me if you need a new car. Now I'm in front of a room of 50, 70, 80. Way better use of time. But what's interesting is I didn't have really any hopes of monetizing this right off of the bat. I just looked at this as a way better use of time to get in front of people. But eventually the market starts telling you things that you can't see. Eventually the market says, hey, we want this or we don't. In my case, I had no hopes of monetizing it. But people would say, hey, Alan, I heard you speak on stage. Like, can I hire you to actually help me get good at the stuff that's in there? And now all of a sudden, you're actually getting paid to network. Now, next thing you know, you put together a course like I did, a $300 product, but you do a speaking engagement in front of 100 people. There's 10, 15 people that sign up. You look at the hourly rate of that and you say, wait a second, I made how much in a 3-hour period? And then the decision becomes, what's a better use of time, selling cars or doing this? And proud to say I finally took the leap. March 31st was the last day in the car business, and now I can never go back to working for somebody.
Wow. So, Alan, congratulations. Most people dream of it. You did it. And so that's huge. What did you set for yourself a metric to say, when I reach this is going to happen? Or did being able to manage both just become like too much? What was the defining point for you where you said, I'm done?
Yeah, so there were a couple metrics. Number one, success in the car business for me has never looked like spending 60+ hours a week at a dealership just to make a ton of cash and having no life. That's not success.
So I want to pause you on that. So you looked at people who were successful, and I think that's a great lesson for anyone to get beyond themselves and say, and I did that. I was in the tool and die business, and I looked at people that were journeymen, which is a machine shop, right? 20, 30 years down the road. That wasn't what I wanted for myself. And so you looked at probably successful car people and said, that's not the life I want. That's how I'm not going to be able to raise a family, whatever it is. But you look down the road by finding other people that are further down the road and saying, that's not me. I think it's really important and healthy and astute.
100%. And it wasn't just car people. When you sell luxury cars, you're blessed to serve an audience and a clientele that has disposable cash. I've met some people that make $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a month, and everything about them is ugly. Their health, awful, no relationship with their family, small circle of friends that is all surface level. And I ask myself, do I aspire to be like that? So wealth, in my opinion, is not making a ridiculous amount of money and having no life. Wealth is the ability to go on a 2-3 hour walk with your dog on a Tuesday for no reason, to be able to do whatever you want. So goal number one, when I reinvented myself in 2017 and moved into the luxury world, my first goal was to eventually self-generate all of my own business and have the ability to work by repeat and referral only on my time. That way, phone's not ringing and somebody says, hey, I need you to come in on your day off. Totally cool. If that's the only day that you can make it, here's somebody who can help you out. So that was goal number one, and I achieved that in 2020. Now, what's interesting is when I reinvented myself in 17, and I hit all of these chambers and gone to every single networking event that I could before entering the speaking world, a lot of my coworkers, they looked at me and said, dude, you're doing all of this work with no payoff. Why are you doing it? You're banging your head against the wall. But, you know, vision is the ability to see something that isn't there yet.
Amen.
Fast forward, COVID happens, my phone's ringing off the hook. Why? Because I went out and I dug my well before I was thirsty. Because pre-COVID, the industry was commoditized. It was a race to the bottom. People knew the price of everything. And I'm not going to say the value of nothing, but let's call it what it is. All of a sudden, now COVID happens. It's the biggest example of supply and demand we've ever seen. And people are saying, hey, the world is a messed up place. I'm looking to give my business to somebody that will give me the relationship, the support, and most importantly, it's somebody that I know, like, and trust. COVID were my best years in the car business. So to button this up, as soon as I achieved that, I then asked myself, how can I meet more people? Enter the speaking engagement world. Started doing speaking engagements on do-it-yourself marketing, and I like to call it super networking, and formed a business out of accident just by listening to the market.
That's great. Okay, so, and then getting back to the day that you decided, you redefined success for you. You said, this is not my path. And so a lot of people do that, but then they don't make the break. So what, did something push you over the edge, or was it just kind of a natural evolution where you're like, I'm going to work till March and then I'm going to be out?
Drew a line in the sand, and that's something that most people will never do.
Okay.
They say it ends here, rain, shine, snow, we're taking the lead.
So March 31st, I'm leaving.
End of Q1.
Regardless of end of Q1. So that was, and when did you say that to yourself?
July 18th, I made the official announcement, actually on stage at one of the biggest events that I've ever done in front of 150
Wow,
people.
put yourself on the line.
I did that to say, these are the people that will hold me accountable. I
Wow.
can't go back now.
Wow. And okay, so as that date is coming closer, are you getting nervous? Are you saying, oh man, did I bite off more than I can chew? Oh man, I'm leaving this behind.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
I get the free advice from all of the people who have never done anything like that. That say, you just got 3 weeks paid vacation.
Yeah, you have the life that others are
the life.
dreaming.
You're making a great living. You can do what you want. You can come and go as you please. You get a great 401k match.
Security.
I had all of the reasons not to do this. And you know what I did?
What did you do?
I said, when the whole world says zig, you should zag.
I love it. So did your boss, did you announce that to your boss, or was that something you kept, because when you pronounce it from the stage, the boss might catch wind. Did they know that this was something looming?
They may have had an idea. Here's
Okay.
what's really interesting is I didn't really get a lot of. I don't want to use the word support, but management at the dealership never really looked in too much to what I was doing because I was bringing in a lot of new faces. I was hosting events at the dealership to legitimately sell more cars. So there was nothing malicious that I was doing. They had trusted me to do the right thing. I did the right thing, and I'm proud to say, I closed the chapter on very good terms.
Yeah.
And I still send them, several clients each month.
Well, and I will say that it would do my heart great joy for anyone in my organization here to, not take away from their day job, right, that the work that they have to do, create something on the side where they can get to live the life of their dreams if it's not here. You know what I mean? I don't want anyone here working here that isn't supposed to be here. And so great. Apparently they have abundance mentality too that says, hey, I'm happy for Alan. Of course, would I love to have him here for the rest of days? Yes. But to send you off with a blessing is allowing you to also reciprocate and send them deals along the way as well.
For sure.
So good for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you set the date for March 31st. You quit. Okay, so you wake up April 1st. Okay, April Fool's Day. You wake up. Are you like gulp? Did you look in the mirror and go, what the hell did I just do?
Luckily, I had built the pipeline, but yes, it's the scariest thing I've ever done.
Okay.
I'd be lying to you if I told you I wasn't nervous.
That's
but,
great.
if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And you know what? If entrepreneurship was easy, everybody would do it.
Yes.
If commission-only sales was easy,
Yes.
everybody would do it.
Yeah, and I think the misnomer is, Alan, a lot of times people look at you and go, oh, well, he's built different. He doesn't get afraid. Or he doesn't doubt himself. Or he, the thing, lucky or super talented or whatever it is. And I'm just having met many people like you, it's actually not true. That we get scared. We wonder if we can make it. We wonder if we're good enough. But the difference is we act anyway.
And we have the ability to face rejection. I mean, my response to that is, I had such a lousy start in the car business. I was almost fired several times within the first 6 months. Like, it's funny, but the reality is it was so cringeworthy and painful that any normal person would have thrown in the towel. But you can't really learn the right things until you do enough of the wrong things. And I had done enough of the wrong things by being 21 years old, selling cars in the North Shore, dressing like a DJ who was about to play a nightclub set, spiky hair, chin straps, fake tan, like all of this. I wouldn't buy a car from there. I would have an 80-year-old person come in saying, I just want a simple car with no electronics. What would Alan Stern do? He would say, oh, check out this sick rear view camera and Bluetooth and the push button start. Meanwhile, they couldn't leave fast enough. You can't learn the right things until you do enough of the wrong things.
Amen. I love it. And so, Alan, you've also taken a big step most recently. So now you leave your job, right, and your security, and begin your own business, but you've just gotten engaged. And so congratulations there. And so is that, anything you want to talk about in that? Is just you found the right girl for yourself, and now you're ready to build a life together?
Well, here's the good news. It's been 15 years.
Okay.
So we've kind of been married.
Okay.
But, I knew she was the one as soon as I met her back in 2009.
Wow.
And,
good for you.
I just turned 35 this year, so did she. Wanted to make it official. That way we can start a family and, really grow together as a couple.
Congratulations. Happy for you on that. So those are big changes in your life. Now let's talk about when what my interest in you back in the time, that was a real estate agent centered event that you gave, and the room was, I think there was 100 realtors in there, and they were all flocking around you after the event. They were clearly touched by the things you talked about, which had to do with leveraging AI and social media and those kind of things. And we were just talking beforehand that I heard a statistic that 46% of real estate agents did not do, that are with the National Association of Realtors, did not do a transaction last year. That the median number of sales that real estate agents are doing is 2 a year, which is not enough to make a living on. And so I think now more than ever, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is to reboot and refresh and go, hey, Alan was doing some good things then, but he's added some things to his offering that I think are affordable, are easy for someone who doesn't have a lot of experience to leverage. And so let's talk about the foundation of your programs, and then talk about maybe some of the new things you have going on.
Absolutely. So at the very root of this, before people buy from a brand, they buy from a person that represents a brand. That holds true in real estate, car sales, insurance, if you're a speaker, a coach, whatever it is. It's the reason why I named my company Persona Marketing. Again, if you can show your personality in your marketing so people know it's authentic and it's real, but you can still actually demonstrate that you can help somebody out, it's a win-win. So now more than ever, though, it's never been more important to learn how to run your business lean. Imagine a time, before I even go into this, truly wrap your head around this if you're listening. There's never in history been a time where every single market has shifted so much over the past few years, and we're all trying to figure out how we can accomplish more with less. We've all been trying to figure out how can we run lean. AI poses the solution to a lot of these problems. Now, it's not perfect, but it's the best employee that you don't have to pay for. With a free account on ChatGPT or Google Gemini, you can hire this thing as your market research company and as your copywriter. I'll give you an example. Let's say that I was a realtor that specialized in, homes in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Well, I can literally go on ChatGPT and I can say, what are 5 problems that would cause someone to consider purchasing a home in the northwest suburbs of Chicago? Why is the problem important? Because we exchange money to solve problems. People join a chamber of commerce to solve the problem of not knowing people in their area. People go out to eat at a restaurant to solve the problem of they don't have food in the house or they don't have time to cook. Pretty simple. So you reverse engineering problems that actually make the phone ring. And once you have said information, you can then dial in a target audience by saying, give me an audience that's most likely to experience each of the problems that are listed above. So now if you are somebody that needs to make content for social media, is you can literally bust out your phone and say, hey, if you're the kind of person that experiences blank, blank, and blank and are considering buying a house in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, here's what you should know. By the way, if you'd like more information, pick up the phone and call me. Targeted ad just like that. Free. All of these things are at everybody's fingertips. And, there's no lack of resources in the world. There's simply just a lack of resourcefulness. So you can do that. But I also talked about how you can hire this as your copywriter. What so many people don't realize is all that you need is a free account on LinkedIn, and you're going to get a better open rate than almost any email that you can send out, because you can leverage ChatGPT to help you write articles. You can literally say, create an article to said audience explaining why it might be a good idea to buy a house in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. You know what you can do? You can go on LinkedIn, start a newsletter, and as soon as you publish your first newsletter, which, again, a newsletter is a series of articles, every single one of your connections gets a manual notification that you just published that. Now, I look at this from an email open rate. Where are you ever going to get that kind of response rate? You just won't. But you can sit there and make one of these a week, and guess what? Can all be repurposed for email drip campaign content. All that you did is you leveraged a little bit of technology.
So your first, if you sitting down with someone just cold, your first piece of advice would be how to leverage AI to do market research about the problems, and then to create content that you can personalize yourself and then get it out there on LinkedIn.
Number one is to figure out who we're talking to.
Yes.
That's it. Because let's say that I had a steakhouse and I had the best product in the entire country. That's great. But what happens if I show that content towards vegans? They're not going to buy. It's the wrong customer.
Yes.
I laugh at this, but same thing when I was selling cars. My customer is not somebody who lives in a downtown high-rise that takes Uber to work. It's just not. So I need to figure out who I'm talking to so I can make content that attracts and allows them to raise their hand. So that's number one, is we figure out who we're talking to, but we do that in a cool way by leveraging AI, by feeding it those prompts. It works for every industry.
That's awesome. Okay, what's the next step then for someone? Is start creating content?
Yep.
Okay.
So there's a blend, and I call it the heat method. It allows
Yes.
people to warm up to you over time based off of what you post. So if you're a big networker, like most realtors are, you can literally meet somebody in person one time, connect with them on social media, and based off of what you post, weeks, months, and years go by, and they begin to know you, like you, trust you, and when they come to you, they're warm. There's not much selling that's involved. That blends humor, education, adding value, and trust all into the content. And when you check off all of those boxes, they have everything that they need to know about you to make an informed decision.
Awesome. And now, how do you help people? How does persona marketing help people, Alan, to get unstuck? Let's just call it that way.
Yeah, and great question. So just to set some context to this, if you are a team of one, realtor, loan officer, insurance, coach, speaker, these are all production-based roles, but there's a good chance that you're too small for a marketing agency to work with. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It's just naturally they're in business to make money. They're going to go after the whales. They can pay them 4 to 5 figures a month on retainer. The commission-only salesperson that just wants to generate some leads kind of has to learn how to do it themselves. So on the subject of marketing, though, I'm sure we can agree, if it's not fun, we're probably not going to do it. So if people go on social media to be entertained, a very fun way to market yourself is by using memes. No graphic design skill required. You can go on a website called imageflip.com, or you can have ChatGPT give you meme ideas and even generate pictures for you, and you could literally just turn a meme.
The People Not Titles podcast is brought to you by Land Trust Title Services, your partners for results.
Turn a meme into an advertisement, about 30 seconds. It's oddly simple, and it's kind of underwhelming how easy it is to make these.
And you talk to people. Part of your program is showing people how to do this.
Right. So I am not in the done-for-you business.
Right.
I am in the teaching you how to fish business.
My
job is for you to fire me and you to leave our sessions with a skill set that you can take and start making money with.
So, Alan, I think something that people underestimate is that, they think, oh, I got my license, I'm going to make money now. No, you're not, right? Or, oh, I know my stuff. There are plenty of people that know less than you do out there, agent, insurance person, whatever, that are selling more, right? And it's because they haven't neglected this skill, which is as important, which is promotion, developing your personal brand, and understanding how to get your name out there, right? And so that's a skill that you teach that is transferable almost to any type of business, whether it be car sales, real estate, insurance, whatever it is.
100%. And it's funny. You hit the nail on the head. There's actually 3 skills that I teach, and there's a huge disconnect between all 3 of them. Sales, marketing, and graphic design. Your salespeople, they're expert communicators. And that works assuming somebody's in front of you. But you can close every deal that you touch. It won't do you any good, though, until you create opportunities to sell. And what I've found is most people who have a strong background in sales are pretty weak when it comes to marketing. Marketing, on the other hand, also focuses in on what do I say, but it's not what do I say to convert like salespeople. It's what do I say to attract. And when you have a message that attracts and you find a way to distribute that, whether it be social media, whether it be PPC ads, whether it's radio, whatever it is, by default, your exposure is going to be better than what one person can do. But here's what happens. Your marketers, a lot of times, are a very different personality type. Your marketers are usually really smart people that know advanced stuff. The PPCs, the CTRs, the email automations, the drip campaigns, the sales funnels, the big words and acronyms, like these guys know. Smart people trying to explain advanced stuff, though, goes over most people's head. So most marketers struggle with sales, most salespeople struggle with marketing. Now, graphic design is important because we can say the right things and we can get them in front of the right people, but we still need to have something to show. We need a flyer, a promotional piece. We need some sort of content. Your creatives, they're artists. Artists, generally speaking, work best when they're left alone because it's a gigantic amount of brain power to produce something that looks beautiful because it's art. So when you have somebody with a creative background, they specialize in making something look pretty and scroll stopping, but that's not what sells. Creatives are not copywriters. That's where the salesmanship comes in. So essentially what I do is I train my clients how to make marketing that sells, that looks cool, and do it themselves, which is why I started the Do-It-Yourself Marketing Alliance.
Wow, I love it. Okay, so let's talk about if someone is sitting there at home watching Scooby-Doo, eating their Fruit Loops and going, man, I need to do something different, right? How do I engage with Persona Marketing? What's the first step for me?
Yeah, so just go to connectwithalanstern.com. Connect with ALANSTERN.com. That's my microsites. All the social media handles are there. If somebody actually wants, again, no strings attached. If somebody wants a free recording of the updated keynote that you saw me do last year, go to dropsomeheat.com. It elaborates on the heat method and 5 ways that you can start making money right now on social media without spending any money. So that's the easiest way to do it. But if you're like, hey, what is the one thing that I need to do right now to get started? Literally go on ChatGPT and say, give me 5 meme ideas to an audience of blank to promote blank.
Wow, amazing. Now I want to talk. Let's talk about your course because when last October, I think it was just launched, or maybe it was just a few months before that. You have a course that people can take, and I saw the reviews on your site, which are amazing, like, really realtors, insurance people, financial people, all this kind of thing. Talk about your course and what people can expect to get with that.
Yeah. You give me 3 hours of your time, I will show you exactly what you need to feed ChatGPT to hire it as the best employee that you don't have to pay for. That's on call number 1. Call number 2 is specifically...
And these are live calls.
These are live, but I also have the recordings for the people who can't turn in live.
Okay, that's great.
I understand by listening to the market that when I'm dealing with busy salespeople, a lot of times there's a showing, there's some sort of business ordeal that takes precedence. So the recordings are there. If you want it, it's available. Day 2, solely focus on how you can market with humor. Because again, if it's not fun, people aren't going to do it. And the reason why humor is important is because people go on social media to be entertained. If you, the business owner, is there to sell and promote, your audience is here to be entertained, massive disconnect. But you can blend those together when you market with humor. And day 3 is on a deep dive with Canva, basically showing you what you can do using nothing more than a free Canva account in your headshots. So literally taking your LinkedIn or Facebook headshot and turning it into a branded infographic so now you can position yourself as the authority. Take golden nuggets from here and turn it into design format so you can blast it out on social media.
That's great. And how much is that course?
$297.
$297. So for $300, you can get you can separate yourself dramatically from those people that are going to fall out of the business at 46%, or the people that are doing on average less than 2 deals. So anyway, that's amazing.
Basically, for the price of a steak dinner, without appetizers and without drinks, you can invest in your business and you can get an unfair advantage on your competition. I'm way underselling it. I'm way undercharging for this, and it's intentional.
Yeah.
Because guess what? If you're happy and you say this is the best $300 that you ever spent, what are you going to do? You're going to tell somebody about it. For me, it's no overhead. Once I do it, it's hosted. The only thing that I charge for is just access to it. So it's my gift back to the sales community and basically saying, hey, I'm one of you. I had to slug it out through the trenches the majority of my life, and here's the secret sauce. Do with it whatever you want.
That's great. Let's talk about the Do-It-Yourself Alliance. What was it called?
Do-It-Yourself Marketing Alliance.
Do-It-Yourself Marketing Alliance. What's that, and how do people get engaged in that?
Yeah, so if you go to DIYMarketingalliance.com, it says everything. There's a free Facebook group, there's a free LinkedIn group, and there's a newsletter that goes out once a week. So the whole idea is to deliver content to salespeople or small businesses that have to do it themselves, whether it's for financial reasons or they're like, hey, I've had a bad experience with a designer in a marketing company and I'm the brains of it, so I'd like to learn how to do it. All of that is right there. So DIYMarketingalliance.com. It'll link you to the newsletter. Feel free to subscribe. I want to say as of Monday, we just hit 1,650 subscribers, so
Awesome.
It's growing.
That's great. Congratulations. That's amazing. And I'm going to subscribe, so we'll have 1,651 later on today.
1056, forgive me.
Oh, 1056. Okay, 1057.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned, Alan, before we began, that you're now creating microsites. And I noticed you just mentioned 3 different websites. So I'm guessing those are some of the microsites in action.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the power of microsites and then how you are helping people do, because I know Linktree is a popular thing, but I think microsite seems to be next level from Linktree.
100%. So here's what it is and here's what it's not. This is not designed to replace your website. This is designed to be a wow factor when you go to a networking event, to have all of your assets in one place. Because you can have a nice 10-page website that says everything about you, but not everybody's going to read it. Not everybody cares. On the other hand, you can go out and you can get Blink, Hi Hello, Dot, Ovu, Camcard, any of these, digital business card platforms. It'll run you like between $5 and $10 a month, but they all look the same and you can't really attach much to it. So what I actually build out for people are branded microsites. More than a Linktree, more than a digital business card, but you're not hiring a web developer for between $2,000 and $5,000. I can knock these out within a week and a half to 2 weeks time period. I retail them for $9.98, and you can turn it into a sales funnel if you have a lead magnet, like a checklist, a first-time home buyer's guide, any sort of content like that. I can attach it to it. So if you've ever wanted firstnamelastname.com, go out and buy the domain on GoDaddy for like $12. I connect it with that, and now you have your own website.
Wow. And do you recommend, so you have websites for your various business efforts. Do you recommend someone have separate ones for separate initiatives so that these are more targeted and more laser focused, as opposed to, I understand you just said the general site, which is here's my name and here's the things I do, and you have that this is Alan Stern, right? But then there's other sites that want to accentuate a particular part of your offering.
Yep.
That is powerful as well.
It is. So, and here's the thing, you're asking a great question. Here's what everybody needs is they need a central hub for everything that you do in one place. All social media handles, call, text, email, bio, everybody needs that. However, on the more specific offerings, you'd like to have one individual landing page, which is a one-page website that talks specifically about that area. Because the way, and I'm just going to use a real estate example for a second, the way that you talk to a first-time home buyer and give them a first-time home buyer's guide is very different than the way that you talk to an empty nester that's bought several homes in their life that is downsizing for various reasons. So you would want to have one page for first-time home buyers and another page for empty nesters. It's the same thing when you go to a doctor. You don't go to a chiropractor to get your teeth cleaned, but both a chiropractor and a dentist are doctors.
Okay. So in that case, do they need separate microsites, or is this all on one micro? How does that work if they engage you for that, Alan?
Yeah, so I would build out as many as they need.
Okay.
So the first and the most important is you need a central hub. You need something that looks cool. That
your
says, "Here's me."
deal. Yeah.
Yep. However, from there you can build out individual pages. You can say, hey, click this page if you are a first-time home buyer. And that, though, keep in mind when we start adding that, that becomes the gray area between a full-blown website versus something that is a one-pager, short, simple, mobile-friendly, and easy to read.
So if someone wants to see an example of that for you, Alan, there's thisisalanstern.com, right? Or,
go to getamicrosite.com. You'll see my entire portfolio.
Okay,
you'll
your
probably
entire,
see 10, 15 of them on there.
And so that's great. I think it's fantastic, and I think you know, I'm a big believer in all that. Obviously, you don't need my belief to know that it's successful. Alan, I want to go. Okay, so everyone knows how they're sitting at home and they want help. They can do that. I want to shift a little bit into just being an entrepreneur for yourself.
Sure.
One of the things that you know, before you had a schedule, right?
Yep.
And so the boss or the store, the car dealership said, be here these, and these times. You woke up April 1st and you're making your own schedule. And that can be fantastic and that can be dangerous.
Sure.
So I want to talk a little bit about how do you manage your day as an entrepreneur? What are the particular things that you found helpful for you to keep yourself on point?
Yeah, so basically here's what I've been doing. Tuesday through Friday, I try to have 1 to 2 either coffee meetings or Zoom meetings every single day. I try to hit 2 to 3 networking events a day. And then when I'm actually, you know, fulfilling these microsites, there's design time that I need to obviously delegate, you know, towards that. Every month, my goal is to get on 2 podcasts, dice them up into mini clips, so I've got the content coming from there.
Yeah, and just as a note, Alan never asked me to be on a podcast. You know, I was just watching Alan's journey and said, I want to have him on again. So to your point of success kind of manifesting for yourself and being a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know, it's not like you're hunting around for podcasts, but you're like, hey, you might hunt around for some, but then success starts coming to you where like phone calls come in and you're like, oh, wow, that's a pleasant surprise, you know. You probably envisioned that and now it's happening.
The biggest thing, again, I appreciate you for this, but look for a problem in the market and solve it. In my case, you look at people who have podcasts, you've got a studio, you have a distribution platform, but you need interesting people with a message that's worth sharing.
Totally.
There's a lot of people that are like that. So for me, I come in here and say, hey, I'd love to pour into your audience. I'll give away a lot of the stuff that I charge money for on my course just to pour back into you, because when you win and you look like the expert, everybody wins.
Awesome.
So as far as the entrepreneurship journey, you know, the problem that I set to solve out in the marketplace with persona marketing is the team of one, the individual entrepreneur, and the commission-only salespeople, we get overlooked. We get our asses kicked every single day. We get rejected. We have to have this resilience mindset, and there's a lot of people that are looking to just take. There's not many people who are looking to give. And when, again, the world zigs, it's a huge opportunity to zag. So the reason why I started persona marketing, I was very intentional with the colors and the branding of this for a reason, is because people don't buy from brands, they buy from the people that represent brands. So if you are the brand inside of a business, it becomes unrelatable because the advertising campaigns are not focused around you. You have to go out there and actually generate their own business. But the thing is, we're in a very divisive time. We got 45 days, I want to say, until election season, and we've come to a time where a lot of people identify as 1 of 2 colors, either blue or red. But what is red plus blue? That's purple. That's persona marketing colors. The other thing, though, is we all see the same color in the world of business, and that's green. So purple and green are my colors.
I love it.
Very, very intentional about
Unity.
that. Unity.
Yeah.
It brings people together.
Yeah. Okay, so so you have a specific activity or activities that you have goals and metrics, and they're all centered around not necessarily results, so even though you probably have some of that, but it's around the things that you're doing to get yourself out there, to promote, to deliver your message, which I think is fantastic. You're focusing on that front end of the pipeline. Let's talk a little bit about delegation, because, you know, as an entrepreneur, right, you went from kind of the do-it-yourself guy. At what point now are you starting to find help that you can delegate some of the things that you know, are menial per se, so that you can focus on the important things?
As of right now, I'm not.
Wow, that's amazing.
Hence, do-it-yourself marketing.
Yeah, you do it yourself. Okay, that's great. And how long do you intend on staying that way, Alan? Is that something that you're going to keep, or are you? What's the vision for persona marketing going forward?
Yeah, so great question. So my goal as soon as I got out of the car business, March 31st, last day, is I told myself the first 6 months I'm going to approach this with a very open mind. I'm going to open myself up to some project work and just see ultimately what does the market want from persona marketing. Do they want $300 crash course? Do they want $2,500 consulting package? Do they want a $998 microsite? Do they want me to build a speaker media kit for $500? What do they want? So as far as the microsites go, I'm at a point right now where I'm actually in discussion with teaming up with somebody, because as far as fulfillment goes, there comes a point in time where when you're drawing in business, you need to be able to execute it. However, you know what, as far as the virtual assistants go, I'm not currently working with any virtual assistants for content because I'm doing it all myself because I can do it fast. Now, as far as like the placements of me, when it gets to a certain point and I need to hire a team, I absolutely will. But I can't manage something that I don't understand. So I'm doing all of the activities right now so I can then lead at the level that I'm at. And when somebody outgrows the teachings that I'm able to give them, I can at least say, here's where you go for a virtual assistant that helps you with this. Here's somebody that I have personally vetted. Here is the design style, and I can kind of open up the menu and pass the baton.
I love it.
And because we're, again, less than 8 months in at this point, not there yet.
Well, it's great. It's very Elon Musk-esque, I should say, because he is very involved in the kind of the nitty gritty, and then delegates out the nitty gritty. And so, good for you. You're walking in some good footsteps. Even though I think Elon, you know, have you ever read Elon's book?
I have not.
Okay, so it's a great read, but he's absolutely fanatical. Like his work, I don't even call it ethic. His lifestyle is so out of balance that it's almost uncomfortable to read. But he's accomplished a lot, and I want to get into that. He's accomplished a lot in the business world, okay? So let's talk a little bit about balancing all the things you're trying to do as an entrepreneur, making sure that you're, you know, I always say that that you can taxi on the runway for years and never take off. And you feel like you're going somewhere, but you've never lifted off. And I think business and sales is a lot like that, you have to have enough inertia, enough energy, enough focus to get liftoff. And there's people that pay the price, family, relationships, whatever, while a person is doing that. But you can't do it for the rest of your life. Otherwise, you see these people that are out of balance, that bought cars from you and stuff like that.
Right.
So what are you doing, Alan, to kind of stay semi-balanced right now? Family, I know you like a cold beer every now and then. How do you manage that?
So I almost don't even believe in balance.
Okay,
I believe in doing things that you like and things that charge your batteries. I'll give you an example. So when I think of balance, I think of a scale. I think of average, right? Average, balance, kind of goes 1 and 1. What does the average realtor sell a year for homes? What was the stat you gave me?
Yeah.
Does that excite you?
No.
I don't want to be balanced if that's the case.
Yeah.
So I asked myself, if I'm going to spend my time, what charges my batteries, and what can I do regardless of looking at the clock? For me, I happen to be blessed in the fact that I've owned a DJ company for almost 2 decades. I love blasting music. Hell, who doesn't love to blast music and somehow find a way to get paid for it? And your one job when you're hired is to make sure that the music doesn't suck. It's not a bad day at the office.
That's great.
Especially if you're a part of somebody's big day, or if you're playing at a cool bar or restaurant or what have you. As far as persona marketing, this charges my batteries. Having conversations like this, spreading my message, charges my batteries, which is good. But the sunset of that is you can also work a 16-hour day and forget to eat.
Yes.
So for me, I focus in on what charges my batteries and what does my energy actually like to do and what does it reject. And you focus on staying away from the things that it rejects. And
I love it. That is actually staying in balance in an energetic sense. That balance is constantly being energized, as opposed to, oh, I need to stop doing things I don't like so I can do something I do like, right? Which is, don't like is typically people's jobs. Right. And then they wind up, drinking on the week, whatever they wind up doing on the weekend to try to keep the balance of my tank is totally empty and now I need to refill it with some other things. So I love it.
Now, I have a very different personality type, and what works for me may not work for everybody else.
Absolutely.
I was fortunate enough, keyword, fortunate enough, to be diagnosed with ADHD at a very young age. And the reason why I say that, and I'll argue this until I'm blue in the face, that is a gift. That is not a curse. What happens is everybody points the finger at the kid and says, your son is learning deficient. He can't pay attention in class, this, that, and the other. But most people never stop and say, is the teacher entertaining? Are they good at their job?
Right.
Now, where I'm going with this is you would think, I was convinced that ADHD was a bad thing until I became a DJ, and now all of a sudden it's a superpower because I have to keep things interesting and change the song every 45 seconds to a minute and a half. Now all of a sudden people are like, dude, how do you do that? I go to a networking event or I host a networking events, and because of my ADHD, I have eyes on everything. Music, conversation, this, that, and the other, which makes me an exceptional event host because I can keep tabs on anything.
That's powerful.
So where I'm going with this is I have the ability now to get excited about using different parts of the brain. The creative brain, me DJing and being a graphic designer, is very different than the forward-facing sales brain, which is very different than the analytical, techie marketing brain that it tracks. So if I do a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, it's now all of a sudden interesting and it's no longer boring.
I love it. And so you don't see yourself as deficient anymore. You see yourself as diverse, you know, in terms of your skill set, interests, whatever it is. And I love the fact most teachers are boring and they blame it on the kid for being, you know, not being able to stay focused. And it's in, you know, when I was a kid, my parent-teacher conferences were like a total, it was like Sybil, you know, in the sense of, my parents would take me to one class and they go, this kid's a great student. He's so smart, always engaged, all this kind of thing. And they go to another class and go, this kid's a terror. He's awful. He's bored. He can't sit still and all that. And you're just revealing to me that it was more about the teacher than it was about the student.
Yep, the only way to get experience is to experiment. And when you experiment with a whole bunch of different things, you start off being lousy at it, like I did in the car business, but eventually, you know, you course correct. Failure allows you to collect all of the data in the process. So when you do it again next time, you're just better informed. So if you do a whole bunch of bad stuff, not like in a malicious way, but let's say that, you know, you're mediocre at this, and this, eventually you start sharpening your skill set. And now, let's say that you get really, really, really good in 4 or 5 different areas, everybody looks at you like you're a superhero. Meanwhile, you're like, you know what, I just did a little bit here, a little bit here, and a little bit here, and nobody saw the incremental gains until they now couldn't ignore it. And I encourage everybody, the best investment that you can make is in yourself. Whether, you know, it's reading a sales book, a marketing book, whether you're clear in your head, whether you want to get into meditation, spirituality, you want to learn a graphic design skill set, whatever it is, find something that is interesting. And people will eventually pay you for your advice.
I love it. Alan Stern, thank you so much for coming in today. Thank you for talking. You're an inspiration. You're an inspiration to me, and I'm sure you're going to be an inspiration to others that are listening to this. And we'll have all of your contact information in the show notes so people know how to get a hold of you. Congratulations on just your growth of your business.
Appreciate you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening to the People Not Titles podcast. We are proudly sponsored by Land Trust Title Services. If you enjoyed the podcast, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and we'd love it if you'd share our podcast with your friends. Thanks a lot.